The Galactic Council chambers filled with terrified voices as the holographic screen showed something that made even the bravest leaders step back in fear. On the screen, a creature moved through a mining colony like a nightmare come to life. It was huge, covered in armor-like plating that gleamed under the colony's lights. Multiple limbs sprouted from its body, each one ending in claws that could slice through metal like butter. The alien miners tried to fight back. They fired their weapons, blast after blast of energy that should have stopped anything living. But the creature's shell just soaked it all up. The weapons might as well have been toys. When the creature's massive jaws clamped down on the colony's reinforced steel doors, they crumpled like paper. Screams echoed through the recording before the feed cut to static. Dr. Valen stood at the center of the council floor. Her 6 arms shook as she gripped the data pad containing her report. She had been part of the team that created this thing, though nobody had meant for it to turn out this way. The project was supposed to create the perfect guard creature, something to protect settlements on dangerous worlds. Instead, they had created something far worse. The creature had a code name, Subject Omega. Dr. Valen explained how they had taken DNA from the most dangerous predators across 12 different worlds. They spliced it together, combined it, and grew it in a lab. The result was a being that had the strength of a titan beast, the speed of a shadow runner, and the durability of a rock crusher. It could see in total darkness, hear a heartbeat from 50 meters away, and its sense of smell could track prey across continents. But something had gone wrong during the mental conditioning phase. The creature was supposed to be controllable, obedient. Instead, it woke up full of rage and pain. It broke out of the research station, killing everyone who tried to stop it. That was 3 months ago. Since then, it had moved from world to world and the body count kept rising. The military forces of 15 different species had tried to bring it down. All of them failed. The xenobiologists had studied what little footage they had. Their conclusion was grim. Subject Omega operated on pure instinct. It was a killing machine with no capacity for thought, no ability to feel anything but hunger and aggression. It could not be reasoned with. It could not be captured. It could only be destroyed. The council members argued for hours, but in the end, the vote was clear. Every single representative raised their hand in agreement. Subject Omega would be eliminated no matter the cost. They had a plan. Intelligence reports showed the creature was heading toward the outer rim, following some unknown instinct. The military would use that. They would set up a trail, leave evidence of settlements and life signs that would lead the creature to a specific planet. That planet was Theros 9, a world on the edge of charted space. The records listed it as uninhabited, nothing but forests and mountains and empty valleys. Once Subject Omega landed there, the fleet would move in. They would surround the planet and unleash an orbital bombardment powerful enough to turn the surface into glass. The creature would have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It would be over. The military leaders set the timeline. 72 hours. 3 days to get their ships in position, to evacuate any vessels from the area, to prepare the weapons that would end this nightmare once and for all. But there was something the council did not know, something that was not in their reports or their star charts. Theros 9 was not as empty as they thought. 3 weeks earlier, a human research ship called the Horizon Explorer had been passing through the sector. An engine malfunction sent it spiraling out of control. The crew tried everything to save the ship, but nothing worked. They crashed on Theros 9, hitting the surface hard enough to tear the vessel in half. Most of the crew died on impact. The few who survived did not last long. Internal injuries, failed life support systems, and the harsh environment of an alien world took them one by one. The distress beacon was damaged in the crash, sending out only broken signals that faded into the background noise of space. No rescue ships came. No one even knew they were there. But one person had survived. A 7-year-old girl named Lily Mitchell, daughter of the ship's chief engineer. She had been strapped into an emergency pod when the ship went down, and that pod had saved her life. For 3 weeks, she lived in the wreckage of the Horizon Explorer, eating emergency rations and sleeping wrapped in thermal blankets. She was alone, scared, and waiting for a rescue that would never arrive. She did not know that something far more terrifying than loneliness was heading her way. She did not know that the most dangerous creature in the galaxy was about to land on her world. And she certainly did not know that in 3 days, the sky would fill with warships ready to destroy everything on the planet's surface, including her. The countdown had begun, and nobody knew that an innocent human child was caught in the middle of it all. 7-year-old Lily Mitchell had learned to count days by scratching marks on the wall of the broken ship. 21 lines now decorated the metal panel near her makeshift bed. 21 days since the Horizon Explorer fell from the sky. 21 days since she had watched two crew members, people who had tried so hard to keep her safe, finally closed their eyes for the last time. She had cried for 3 days straight after that. But then the tears stopped coming and she realized she had a choice. She could give up or she could keep going. Her dad always told her that Mitchell women were fighters. So she fought. She rationed the emergency food packets, making each one last 2 days instead of one. She collected rainwater in empty containers. She talked to Mr. Hoppers, her stuffed rabbit with one ear missing, pretending he could talk back. Sometimes she imagined her parents were just in the next room, that they would walk through the door any moment and tell her everything was okay. The wreckage had become her whole world. She knew every twisted corridor, every broken panel, every place where the ceiling dripped when it rained. She had set up a little corner that she called home, with blankets piled up to make it cozy and drawings she had made taped to the walls. The drawings were mostly of her family, of Earth, of the house she barely remembered but desperately wanted to see again. On the 21st day something changed. Lily was outside the ship, gathering berries from a bush she had tested and found safe to eat. Mr. Hoppers sat propped against a rock, keeping watch. That is when the ground began to shake. It was not like the small tremor she had felt before. This was different, powerful, like something massive was moving through the earth itself. The trees at the edge of the clearing started to sway. Birds that Lily had never seen before erupted from the canopy, their alien calls filling the air as they fled. Small creatures that looked like a cross between rabbits and lizards scattered in every direction. Lily grabbed Mr. Hoppers and ran back toward the ship, her heart pounding. She climbed through a broken viewport that she used as a door and pressed herself against the wall, peeking out carefully. What emerged from the forest made her breath catch in her throat. The creature was enormous, bigger than any animal she had ever seen even in pictures. Its body was covered in dark plates that looked like armor, and multiple limbs moved with a strange, fluid grace. Sharp claws dug into the earth with each step. Its head had too many eyes, all of them scanning the area like searchlights. Mandibles clicked together, making a sound that sent shivers down Lily's spine. Any normal person would have been paralyzed with fear. The creature looked like something from a nightmare, something that existed only to hunt and destroy. But Lily had spent 3 weeks alone with only a stuffed rabbit for company. She had faced hunger, fear, and loneliness. Maybe that changed something in her. Maybe it made her see things differently than other people would. As she watched the creature move across the clearing, she noticed something the Council's military forces had missed, something their advanced scanners had not picked up. The creature was hurt. A long gash cut across its side, and strange glowing fluid leaked from the wound. The way it moved, one of its limbs did not seem to work quite right. When it stepped on that leg, the creature's whole body shuddered like it was in pain. Lily thought about the crew members who had died, about how she had tried to help them with the medical kit but did not know enough. She thought about how scared and alone she had felt. And she wondered if maybe, just maybe, this creature felt scared and alone too. She made a decision that would have seemed insane to anyone else. She grabbed the ship's medical kit from its mount on the wall. Her hands shook as she checked inside. There were bandages, tubes of synthetic skin sealant that could close wounds, pain medication, and antiseptic spray. She had watched the medic use these supplies before the crash. She kind of knew what to do. Taking a deep breath, Lily climbed out of the viewport. Her legs felt wobbly, and every instinct screamed at her to run and hide. But she kept walking forward, one small step at a time. The creature had not noticed her yet. It was focused on the wound, trying to reach it with one of its limbs but unable to quite get the angle right. Lily stopped about 10 feet away. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted it to, barely more than a whisper. "You're hurt." The creature's reaction was instant. Every one of its multiple eyes snapped toward her. Its body tensed, muscles coiling under that armored hide. Those massive claws dug into the ground. For a long moment nothing moved. The creature stared at the tiny human child standing before it and Lily stared back. She clutched the medical kit against her chest like a shield, her knuckles white. The creature's mandibles opened slightly, and a low rumbling sound came from deep inside its chest. It was not quite a growl, but it was not friendly either. Lily could have run. She should have run. But instead, she held up the tube of synthetic flesh sealant so the creature could see it. "This might sting a little," she said, her voice steadier now. "But it'll help. I promise." The creature tilted its massive head, studying her with those alien eyes. Seconds stretched into what felt like hours. Then, slowly, incredibly, the creature's body began to relax. The tension in its muscles eased. It lowered itself closer to the ground, bringing that glowing wound within reach of a 7-year-old girl with a medical kit and more courage than sense. Lily took another step forward, then another, until she stood right next to a being that had killed thousands across the galaxy. And she began to help. The scientists who created Subject Omega had made a critical mistake. They had built sensors to measure aggression, strength, and hunting ability. But they never thought to measure something else, something they assumed was not there. Intelligence. Real, deep intelligence that could think and feel and understand. The creature had it all along, buried under layers of pain and fear that had turned it into the monster everyone believed it to be. From the moment it woke up in that laboratory, Subject Omega had known only terror. Strange beings in protective suits poked it with needles, shocked it with electricity, and forced it through tests that left it screaming in agony. It did not understand why. It only knew that everything hurt and everyone it saw wanted to hurt it more. When it finally broke free, rage consumed everything else. Every planet it landed on, beings attacked it on sight. Weapons fire, explosions, traps. The creature fought back because fighting back was all it knew how to do. But this small human child was different. She did not attack. She did not run away screaming. She just stood there with her little medical kit and said she wanted to help. For the first time since its violent awakening, Subject Omega felt something other than pain and fury. It felt confused. And then, as Lily began treating its wound, it felt something even stranger. Relief. Lily worked slowly and carefully, her small hands shaking as she cleaned the gash with antiseptic spray. The creature flinched when the spray touched the wound, and Lily jumped back, afraid she had made it angry. But the creature just looked at her with those multiple eyes and made a soft clicking sound, then lowered itself again. It was telling her to continue. So she did. As she worked, Lily started humming without even realizing it. It was a song her mother used to sing when Lily was scared or could not sleep. The melody drifted through the clearing, soft and gentle. The creature's eyes tracked her movements, watching every little thing she did. When Lily spread the synthetic sealant over the wound, the creature's whole body tensed, then relaxed as the medicine began to work. The glowing fluid stopped leaking. The pain started to fade. "There," Lily said, stepping back to admire her work. "All better. Well, mostly better. You should probably rest." The creature made another sound, deeper this time, like a rumble of distant thunder. Lily realized it was trying to communicate. She smiled. "You need a name. I can't just keep calling you creature in my head. How about Titan? No, that sounds too scary. What about Buddy?" The creature tilted its massive head as if considering the name. Its body began to glow with soft pulses of blue and green light. Lily's eyes went wide with wonder. "You can glow. That's so cool. Okay, Buddy it is." Over the next 2 days, something remarkable happened. Something that would have shocked every scientist and military leader in the galaxy. A friendship formed between a 7-year-old human girl and the most feared creature in known space. Lily shared her emergency rations, breaking the food bars in half even though she was running low. Buddy watched her eat, then disappeared into the forest. He returned an hour later carrying strange fruits in his claws, placing them gently at her feet. Lily was nervous at first, but she tested them the way she had been taught. They were safe and surprisingly delicious, like a mix between apples and strawberries. Buddy became her protector. When a pack of wolf-like predators emerged from the trees one evening, drawn by the smell of food, Buddy positioned himself between them and Lily. He did not attack. He just stood there, his body glowing bright red in warning. The predators took one look at him and fled. Lily hugged one of his massive legs. "Thank you, Buddy." She taught him games she remembered from Earth. She would hide behind rocks or trees, and Buddy would pretend not to know where she was, making exaggerated searching movements until she jumped out yelling, "Surprise!" His bioluminescent patterns would flash in what Lily came to understand was his version of laughter. At night, Lily talked to him. She told him about Earth, about blue skies and oceans and cities full of people. She told him about her parents, how her mom made the best pancakes and her dad could fix anything that was broken. She told him how much she missed them, how scared she was that she would never see them again. Buddy listened to every word. His patterns shifted and changed, displaying colors that seemed to match her emotions. When she was happy, he glowed warm yellows and oranges. When she was sad, soft blues and purples rippled across his shell. It was not just random light. It was language. He was talking back to her in the only way he could. Lily started to understand the patterns. Rapid pulses meant excitement. Slow, steady glows meant calm and contentment. Sharp flashes were warnings. She would point at things and say their names, and Buddy's patterns would shift in response, like he was memorizing the words. When she said, "friend," and pointed at him, his whole body lit up like a fireworks display. One night as they sat under alien stars, Lily finally let herself cry. Really cry, not the quiet tears she had been holding back. She cried for her parents, for the crew who died, for being so alone and so scared. The sobs shook her whole body. Buddy responded in a way that would have seemed impossible to anyone who called him a mindless killing machine. He curled his enormous form around Lily's tiny body, creating a protective cave of warmth and gentle light. His bioluminescence shifted to soft, soothing colors. And from deep within his chest came a sound, a low rhythmic thrumming that vibrated through the air like a lullaby. Lily pressed herself against him, feeling safer than she had in weeks. "You're my best friend," she whispered into the darkness. "My very best friend in the whole universe." Buddy's thrumming grew louder, more content. His patterns pulsed in time with her heartbeat. In that moment they were not a monster and a helpless child. They were just two beings who had found each other in a vast, lonely universe, and decided they were better together than apart. Neither of them knew that high above the planet, warships were already moving into position. Neither of them knew that in less than 24 hours, the sky would fill with fire meant to destroy everything below. They only knew that right now, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes that is enough. The galactic fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. 50 warships, each one bristling with weapons that could level mountains. They spread out across the orbit of Theros, 9 like a net of steel and fire. Admiral Thane stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Relentless, watching the planet rotate slowly on the viewscreen. He had fought in 17 major battles across his career. He had faced pirates, rebels, and hostile aliens. But he had never felt the weight of a mission quite like this one. His tactical officer confirmed what they already knew. "Sir, scanners have locked onto Subject Omega. Northern continent, coordinates transmitted to all vessels. The target is stationary." Admiral Thane nodded slowly. "All ships, charge weapons. Prepare for full orbital bombardment on my mark." He paused, looking at the peaceful blue and green planet below. Somewhere down there, the galaxy's worst nightmare was waiting. In a few minutes it would be nothing but ash. Mark. Down on the surface, Lily sat by a small stream, her feet dangling in the cool water. She had discovered this spot yesterday, and it had quickly become her favorite place. The water was clear enough to see smooth stones on the bottom, and small fish-like creatures darted between them. Buddy lay nearby, his massive form relaxed, his bioluminescent patterns showing calm, happy colors. Lily had been working on something special all morning. She had gathered flowers and flexible vines from the forest, weaving them together the way her grandmother had taught her years ago. Now she held up her creation with pride, a circle of purple and yellow blooms woven into a crown. "Look, Buddy, I made us crowns." She placed the flower crown on her own head, then looked at Buddy's massive form and laughed. "Okay, yours is way too small for your head. But I made you this." She had woven a larger piece that could wrap around one of his limbs like a bracelet. She carefully placed it around his foremost leg, adjusting it so the flowers showed properly. Buddy's eyes focused on the decoration, then his patterns shifted to bright, warm colors. Lily stood back and put her hands on her hips in an exaggerated royal pose. "We're royalty now," she declared in her most serious voice. "You're King Buddy, ruler of the forest and protector of the realm. And I'm Princess Lily, princess of making friends with scary creatures that aren't actually scary at all." Buddy's thrumming sound filled the air, the one that Lily now knew meant he was happy. She giggled and was about to say something else when the sky changed. It started as a bright point of light, like a star appearing in the middle of the day. Then it grew larger, brighter, screaming down through the atmosphere. The sound came a second later, a shriek that made Lily clap her hands over her ears. The plasma bolt struck the ground 2 miles away and the entire world shook. The explosion rose into the sky like an angry god. Trees disintegrated. Rock melted into glass. The shockwave rolled outward, flattening everything in its path. Lily screamed, but she could not even hear her own voice over the roar. Buddy's reaction was instant. Every muscle in his body coiled tight. His patterns flashed bright red, danger colors that Lily had only seen once before. His multiple eyes tracked the sky, seeing what was coming next. More lights. Dozens of them. The sky itself seemed to be falling. For a split second, every instinct in Buddy's body screamed at him to run, to fight, to survive. He was fast enough to escape this. He could dive into the forest and be gone before the next strike hit. But then he looked at Lily, this tiny human who had shown him kindness when the entire galaxy wanted him dead. She stood frozen by the stream, her flower crown crooked on her head, terror written across her small face. The decision took less than a heartbeat. Buddy moved with speed that should have been impossible for something his size. He scooped Lily up with one massive claw, cradling her against his chest as gently as if she were made of glass. Then he ran. The second bombardment strike hit exactly where they had been sitting. The stream vaporized. The ground exploded upward in a fountain of superheated rock. But Buddy was already gone, moving through the forest with the grace of a creature born to hunt. Lily clutched at his armored plating, feeling the incredible power in every stride. More plasma bolts rained from the sky. The forest became an inferno. Trees older than human civilization burst into flames. Animals fled in panic, their cries lost in the constant thunder of explosions. Buddy dodged and weaved, his body reading the patterns of the bombardment, predicting where the next strikes would fall. A blast hit close, too close. The explosion lifted Buddy off his feet and sent him tumbling. He twisted in midair, curling his body around Lily, making sure his armored back took the impact when they hit the ground. They rolled, bounced, and slid down a steep slope. Rocks and debris rained down around them. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, certain this was the end. But Buddy never let her go. Even as they fell, even as the world tried to tear them apart, his claws held her safe. They crashed through brush, slammed into boulders, and finally tumbled into a ravine. The fall was 50 feet straight down. Buddy's body took the entire impact, his thick plating cracking with the force. He let out a sound Lily had never heard before, a cry of pain that cut through even the bombardment's roar. They landed in a heap at the bottom, dust and small stones raining down on them. For a moment, neither moved. Then Lily felt Buddy's claws carefully release her. She rolled onto the rocky ground, coughing, her body covered in scratches but miraculously unbroken. Buddy? Buddy, are you okay? Buddy's patterns flickered weakly, shifting between colors like he was struggling to focus. But he was already moving again because the bombardment had not stopped. The sky above the ravine glowed orange with fire. Buddy's eyes scanned the ravine walls until he found what he was looking for. A cave opening partially hidden by fallen rocks. It was small, maybe too small for him, but he did not hesitate. He grabbed Lily again and charged toward it. His broad shoulders scraped against the cave entrance, his armor screeching against stone. He forced his way through, leaving gouges in the rock, not caring about the pain. The cave opened up into a larger chamber, and Buddy kept going, pushing deeper and deeper into the planet's crust. Behind them, the entrance collapsed as another strike hit nearby. Rocks sealed them in, but it also sealed the bombardment out. The thunder of destruction became muffled, then distant, then finally faded to a dull rumble. In the darkness of the deep cave, Buddy finally stopped. He set Lily down gently and collapsed, his breathing heavy and labored. His bioluminescent patterns were dim, flickering like dying lights. Lily could see cracks in his armor, places where the impacts had damaged even his incredible hide. The glowing fluid was leaking again from multiple wounds. "Buddy," Lily whispered, tears streaming down her face. She crawled to him, her small hands touching his massive head. "You saved me. You saved me again." Buddy's eyes focused on her, and his patterns steadied slightly. A soft thrumming came from his chest, quieter than usual but still there. Still trying to comfort her even though he was the one who was hurt. Above them, the bombardment continued. The Galactic Fleet was turning the surface of Theros 9 into a lifeless wasteland. But deep underground, in a cave lit only by the gentle glow of an alien creature, a little girl held onto her best friend and refused to let go. In the dim blue glow of Buddy's bioluminescence, Lily sat with her back against the cave wall, trying to catch her breath. Her whole body ached from the tumbling fall, and her ears still rang from the explosions. She could feel the vibrations through the rock as the bombardment continued somewhere far above them. Each rumble made dust fall from the ceiling. Buddy lay nearby, his breathing slow and heavy. The cracks in his armor looked worse in the gentle light. Lily had tried to use the last of her medical supplies on him, but there was not enough left to treat all his injuries. She felt helpless, useless. This creature had saved her life twice now, and she could not even properly help him in return. Then she remembered something. The emergency communicator. She had kept it in her jacket pocket ever since finding it in the wreckage, checking it every day even though it never worked. The crash had damaged it badly, but sometimes for just a few seconds, it would flicker to life before dying again. Lily pulled it out with shaking hands. The small device was scratched and dented, but when she pressed the power button, a tiny green light blinked on. Her heart jumped. It was working. Actually working. She did not know if anyone would hear her. She did not know if the signal could even reach through all that rock. but she had to try. She pressed the transmit button and brought the communicator close to her mouth. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Please, if someone's out there, you have to stop. You have to stop shooting. On the bridge of the Relentless, Lieutenant Kess was monitoring communication channels when her console suddenly came alive with a signal. It was weak, broken, but definitely there. She adjusted the frequency, trying to clean up the interference. What came through made her freeze in shock. It was a child's voice. A human child. Sir. Lieutenant Kess practically shouted. Admiral Thane, you need to hear this. The entire bridge crew turned as the voice crackled through the speakers. Please stop shooting at my best friend. You're hurting him. Please stop. Admiral Thane's face went pale. Identify that signal. Now. It's coming from the planet's surface, sir. From the bombardment zone. It's a human emergency beacon. The bridge fell into complete silence. Every officer, every crew member stood frozen. A human. There was a human down there. They had been firing on their own kind. Admiral Thane's voice was tight when he spoke. All ships, cease fire immediately. Cease fire. Back in the cave, Lily kept talking, the words pouring out of her in a rush. My name is Lily Mitchell. I was on the Horizon Explorer. We crashed here 3 weeks ago. Everyone else died, but I survived. And then Buddy found me. Everyone thinks he's a monster, but he's not. He's kind and smart, and he saved my life. He's my friend. Please don't kill him. Please. She held the communicator toward Buddy, and his gentle thrumming filled the transmission. See? He's not trying to hurt anyone. He's hurt and scared just like I was. Please, you have to believe me. On the Relentless, Dr. Valen pushed her way onto the bridge, demanding to hear the transmission. When the child's voice played again, when she heard that thrumming sound, something inside her broke. She had been part of the team that created Subject Omega. She had watched as they tortured it in the name of science. She had convinced herself it was just an animal, incapable of real thought or feeling. But now she heard it. Really heard it. That was not the sound of a mindless killing machine. That was the sound of a being trying to communicate, trying to soothe a frightened child. In that moment, Dr. Valen saw the truth she had been refusing to see. They had not created a weapon. They had created a person. And then they had hurt that person so badly that it had no choice but to fight back. Get me a visual, Admiral Thane ordered. I want eyes on that location now. A drone was deployed, diving through the smoke and fire to the ravine. Its cameras found the collapsed cave entrance and used ground-penetrating sensors to see inside. The image that appeared on the view screen made several crew members gasp. There, in the deep cave, a small human child sat next to the galaxy's most wanted creature. The girl had her hand resting on the creature's head. The creature's bioluminescence was dim, its body clearly injured, but it was positioned protectively between the child and the cave entrance. Even wounded, even trapped, it was still trying to keep her safe. A commotion erupted at the back of the bridge. Ambassador Richard Mitchell, the human representative to the Galactic Council, pushed through the crowd. He had been summoned when they detected the human signal. Now, as he looked at the screen, his legs nearly gave out. Lily, he whispered. Then louder, desperately, that's my granddaughter. That's Lily. He grabbed the communication console. Lily. Lily, sweetheart, it's Grandpa. Can you hear me? In the cave, Lily's eyes went wide when she heard that familiar voice. Grandpa? Grandpa, you're here? Yes, baby, I'm here. Are you hurt? Are you okay? Tears poured down Lily's face. I'm okay. I'm scared, but I'm okay. Buddy kept me safe. He protected me from everything. Ambassador Mitchell looked at Admiral Thane with fury in his eyes. You were firing on my granddaughter. We didn't know, Ambassador. The planet was listed as uninhabited. She's 7 years old and she's been down there alone for 3 weeks because no one bothered to look. The ambassador's voice shook with rage. And this creature you've been trying to destroy, this thing you called a monster, it's been keeping her alive. Dr. Valen stepped forward, her voice heavy with guilt. Ambassador, I need to speak with your granddaughter. Please. The scientist took the communicator with trembling hands. Lily? My name is Dr. Valen. I'm one of the people who created your friend. I need you to understand something. We hurt him. We hurt him very badly when he was first made, and it made him angry and scared. Everything he did, all the destruction, it was because he was in pain and everyone kept attacking him. I know, Lily said simply. He told me. Not with words, but with his lights. He showed me his memories. I saw what you did to him. The bridge fell silent again. The creature could share memories. It could communicate complex ideas. This was not just intelligence. This was sapience. Can you forgive us? Dr. Valen whispered. Can he? There was a long pause. Then Lily said, Buddy says he doesn't want to hurt anyone anymore. He just wants to be left alone. To be safe. And to be my friend. Ambassador Mitchell took over again. Admiral, I want a rescue team down there immediately. And that creature comes with my granddaughter. Unharmed. Non-negotiable. Ambassador, the council voted. I don't care what the council voted. That being saved a human child's life. He has earned sanctuary under human protection, and I will start a diplomatic war if anyone tries to stop me. 2 hours later, a rescue shuttle descended into the ravine. The team approached the cave carefully, weapons lowered but ready. They cleared the entrance and moved inside, their lights cutting through the darkness. They found Lily asleep, curled against Buddy's side like he was a giant pillow. The creature's eyes opened as they approached, and his bioluminescence flared bright red in warning. His body shifted, ready to fight despite his injuries. But then Lily woke up. She looked at the armed soldiers, at the weapons, at the fear in their eyes. And she stood up and put herself between them and Buddy. It's okay, she said softly, looking back at her friend. They're here to help. No one's going to hurt you anymore. I promise. Buddy's patterns shifted slowly from red to orange to yellow, finally settling on a cautious green. He made his thrumming sound and Lily smiled. That's right. We're going home. The rescue was broadcast across the entire Galactic Council network. Billions of beings watched as a tiny human child led the galaxy's most feared creature onto a transport ship. They watched as she held his claw and told him everything would be all right. They watched as the monster who had killed thousands responded to her gentleness with obvious affection. The political firestorm was immediate and intense. The humans demanded Buddy be granted sentient rights and full asylum. Other species, still terrified of him, opposed it. But then Lily's testimony was played for the council. This 7-year-old human stood before the galaxy's leaders and told them they were wrong. You made him scary, she said. You hurt him and chased him and shot at him, and then you got mad when he fought back. But when I was nice to him, he was nice to me. He's not a monster. You just never gave him a chance to be anything else. The vote took 3 days. In the end, humanity's passionate defense combined with the undeniable evidence of Buddy's intelligence won. By a narrow margin, the council granted him sentient rights. He became the first artificially created being to be recognized as a person rather than property. Buddy chose to stay with Lily's family on Earth. The first few months were difficult. People were scared. Some wanted him locked up or sent away. But children especially saw what Lily had seen. They saw a lonely being who had never known kindness until a little girl offered it. Slowly, fear turned to curiosity, then to acceptance. Lily grew up with Buddy always by her side. She went to school and he walked with her, his massive form becoming a familiar sight in the neighborhood. Kids played games around him. Dogs barked at him until he made his thrumming sound and they became friends too. He learned to be gentle, to control his strength, to live in a world that had once feared him. Years passed. Lily became a young woman with a passion for understanding alien minds. She studied xenopsychology, driven by the knowledge that first contact could go terribly wrong if beings did not try to understand each other. Her thesis on the dangers of assuming aggression in unfamiliar species became required reading at every major university. Dr. Lily Mitchell's lectures were always full, not just because of her brilliant insights, but because of who sat in the front row at every single one. Buddy, now decorated with ribbons and flowers that children gave him, would sit and listen as Lily talked about understanding, compassion, and looking past fear to see the person underneath. Sometimes, when Lily spoke about her first meeting with Buddy, when she talked about choosing kindness over fear, Buddy's patterns would glow soft and warm. And everyone in that lecture hall would remember that the galaxy's greatest monster had become its greatest proof that love and understanding can transform even the darkest situations. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is see a friend where everyone else sees a threat. And sometimes, that changes everything.